Hey, this is Reverend Akompo, Mwalimu Yogi Sister Mama Adia. And um, I want you to know it's okay to let folks down. I'm going to say again, a little slower. It is okay to let people down. Now, I want to be clear. I've been taught, and I teach my children, that your word is your bond, that any agreements that you've made, you hold those agreements up, that you want to be trustworthy. It's important to be faithful to what you've agreed to, all of those things. But I've learned, and I'm also teaching my children, that some agreements need to be renegotiated, reconsidered, and sometimes broken. I was raised in a good Christian home with high morals and good character. The Blackman name is dependable. It is upstanding. It is filled with love. It is trustworthy. It is all those different things. Both of my parents were raised that way. I've heard stories of duty and obligation my whole life. I've seen examples of it, of my parents showing up for a community my whole life. I remember a summer job. I remember a summer job. I came home from college and worked at my father's plant, and someone came up to me and said, "I don't always like your daddy, but he's fair," which I thought was a very interesting thing to share with a teenage girl who's come home to work her summer job. But it stuck with me. Um, it stuck with me. I think about it often. I've been taught to be dutiful, to be obedient, to anticipate the needs of others and meet their needs even before they ask. Um, some of the places where some of the places where we find ourselves in agreements where we want to be honorable or dutiful are not explicit agreements. They are agreements that are implicit or understood based on societal, communal, or cultural understanding. And that is something that I learned from Mama Fia and Baba Wakesa in studying Warrior Healer Builders and Feelings as Messengers. And there was a really amazing conversation that Mama Fia had on, uh, I don't want to say it wrong, but I think it's Challenging Conversations the other day that I'm going to link in the description here because it's very important. So, some of those things that we bind ourselves to are not even agreements that we've explicitly made. They are things that we've done because we understand them to be good, or this is what I should do, or this is what I ought to do. Um, and so when we do what the shoulds and the supposed tos and the ought tos that we did not agree to, oftentimes we are neglecting ourselves. We are neglecting we are neglecting ourselves and often harming ourselves. And so I want to encourage you today that the same power that you have to be there for everyone else is available to you. It is available to you in your no. It is available to you in your this doesn't work for me anymore. It is available to you in your give me a minute, let me think about it, especially when things make you feel uneasy or don't quite feel good or anything else instead of being ready to say yes, instead of being ready to be available. So when I ran the co-op um, out of our home, there was hmm, I no let me tell this story first. Um, and when we are neglecting ourselves and we are abandoning ourselves, I know that in church we would say that this body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And then, of course, in a kind practice, we recognize that these bodies are shrines. We recognize that we are not just shrines and available to spirit and the different bosom, but we are shrines and available and crafted and created by our ancestors. So this home is the home that my ancestors prayed for and worked toward. But this home is also the home that my descendants will depend on. So abandoning it is sacrilege. Abandoning it and harming it and harming myself for the benefit of whatever approval that I think I'm going to receive or whatever that is a really poor decision. I always like the word anathema, but it is a sin, and sin is considered separation when you break it down. So not just in the way that we think of sin of being bad or something immoral, but that it is quite literally separation. There's a power source. Sin is the separation from the power source. Um, so not in a moral code, but in separation. If I'm agreeing to do something that would harm me, I'm not honoring what the Creator has given me, even if I've been taught that it's for good. So when I was in the this is the story that I wanted to start with. When I was in the throes of running the co-op and I had young children who might have been elementary and middle school, um, running the co-op and navigating my relationship with the Black church and African traditional culture, and supporting healthy Black marriages and running around doing all these things, we were at a gathering of another family who was running a African centered co-op out of their home. And my mother was sitting outside with me on the front porch, and she said, "Someone must have walked past me and asked about something we needed to do." And she said, "Do you know how to say no?" And I was like, yes, so haltingly, so unsure, all of those things. And even with that, in my head, I was thinking, you don't say no. And I have seen her not say no repeatedly. I've seen her say yes over and over and over because she was capable of doing it, because she was capable of doing it well. But was it necessary for her to do it? Probably not. And not even probably. In a lot of cases, no. In a lot of cases, as she has told me before, as my mother has said, people will continue to use and use and use. And then when you have worn yourself out, when you have agreed, when you've given your power away, they'll find the next person that they can do that for, do that to. So I don't think I've ever seen her say no for herself. I've seen her say no for her children. I've seen her say no for us. I've seen her say no to protect us. And so I say that story to say this. When I was running the homeschool co-op out of our home, and we had at max 16, 17 children and 10 families involved in our home on a daily basis. I remember getting to the point where I realized that the co-op was no longer the safe haven that I had created it to be, starting with my children and allowing it to other children. And there were a few things that caused that. Lack of reciprocity across the board. And a lot of that, it's not the personal fault of anybody in particular, it's a lack of awareness. We've been trained to go hand our children to someone else. Stop, drop, and roll is what we hear a lot. Go hand our children to someone else and they got it. As opposed to being invested in the process and not just for the children, but also for the people who are providing the service to make sure that they are okay too, that the teachers, that the administrators, and oftentimes it may be one or two people doing all the jobs, the custodians, whatever it is, the lunch ladies, all the things that happen in a homeschool co-op that end up not being a full staff of people, but being maybe a staff of one or a staff of two. Um, but when I realized that it was no longer a place of safety for my children, and that it was also creating a place where I was not being as responsible to the little shrines that I had given birth to, in the way that I needed to, and that there were some issues that were causing just not what we had initially set out to do. And so I got to the point where I realized, okay, well, this has to change. It has to come out of our house. It needs to go to another building. It needs to reduce itself in days. It needs to be at the point where other people can take charge of other days, that they can schedule the lessons, that, all of the things to share responsibility to make it something that it was more equitable. And I remember coming to that really painful realization because we're family. And those children that were in my home, I still feel like they are my children, nieces, nephews. Um, I'm proud of them. A few are in college, on their way to college, and along with their parents, there's a part in me that they're sitting right here, right in my heart. They're sitting right there. So when I realized that the space had to change, I shared my concerns with another mother in the co-op, and I'm pouring my heart out about how um, we can't have a fight at my house. That wasn't the point. Or one of my children doesn't know whatever academic thing it was that I was concerned about them knowing, and that I can't give emotional support to this child that I've given birth to. And I poured my heart out, and her immediate response to me was, "Well, what's going to happen to my child?" And I was blown. I was like, "Whoa." I said, um, that's when I realized that the self sacrifice that I've been taught and trained to does not translate, nor should it, to be truthful. Like, I should not have been operating in that fashion, but I've been trained in a number of different ways that I will self sacrifice and self sacrifice. And then somewhere in the back of my brain, I think, well, others will self sacrifice too. And then as we are all self sacrificing for each other, it'll be fine. But we're not all trained that way. And some of us do a better job with boundaries than others of us. But I was floored. And that was the place where I was able to say no. And I was able to say no because I was saying it on behalf of my children. I had been exhausted for a while. I had been tired for a while. Um, I had been feeling like I was running pillar to post and pillar to post and pillar to post. But until I realized that what I was doing was causing harm to my children, I wasn't able to say no. And so I want to remind all of us that my no could have come earlier. It could have come when I realized this was not healthy for me. It could have come when I realized that this shrine was being neglected. And even though I'm very grateful that on behalf of the three shrines that I am in charge of caring for, as they care for their own temple and their own space, I'm grateful that they were the impetus for me to be able to say, nah, we got to do something different. But I also realize it is my sacred duty to take care of this one first, or I can't be any good to them. So reciprocity. Um, I started out with this sweatshirt because I was going to try and keep it on, and then uh, do some breathing with you. But excuse me, it was in the way of the mic. So I don't want it just lay there on the floor. Is Reciprocity is the way of nature. So one of the subjects that I really love teaching is science, and we talk about how everything in microcosms or macrocosms and everything in the environment is responsible for the thing that depends on it and is um, dependent on something else. So when any one of those things are removed from, let's say, the food chain, then calamity can occur. So we have reciprocity when the flowers are taken care of in the right way, and then the bees and the butterflies and the bats and all the other things that are pollinators can do their job to then bring the food about that we eat, so that we can be healthy and make sure we are then taking care of the environment. So um, all of the plants that are able to feed themselves can then feed all of the other animals that are not able to feed themselves, including us. That is reciprocity. That is nature's way. When we operate in a place that is not reciprocal, we are in a very unnatural place. So when we are operating out of spaces where I can do it, I got it, I'll take care of it. What do you need? Okay, I got it. That's unnatural. That is out of divine order. So I wanted to do, sometimes words don't always come. And even though I realize this is recording a bunch of words and yapping, sometimes what I need to be okay is breathing and movement, more often than not. So I'm going to do some breathing and movement with you here. So if you can bring yourself to a place of stillness, if you're walking around the house right now, if you're listening, taking a shower, whatever it is, at about 14 minutes and 50 seconds, we are going to begin breathing. And so about 15 minutes in, I want you to come back to this space. Finding yourself in a quiet place, making sure that you are seated upright. If crossing your legs is difficult, bring your legs out in front of you, straighten them out. If that's hard, make them wide. Whatever you have to do, if kneeling, whatever it is, there's no perfect way to do this. This is taking care of you. And I will likely have to change my knees in between because they won't like to sit still forever. So I'll cue that for anyone who may need the same. We're going to do breathing for a little bit, and we're going to do Dirga Pranayama. We're going to breathe into our belly, extending into our ribs, expanding into our collarbone. So a 3-part breath. So breathing in through your nose, fill up your belly, and your belly will fill up like a bowl. And I know, we being cute, we're always taught to breathe this way and suck our bellies, but I need big bellies, so I'm show you mine too. So breathe in, expanding that belly, and exhale through your nose, letting that navel come back towards your spine. Inhale again, expanding that belly, and exhale through your nose. I keep breathing out to my mouth. Inhale again. Make sure that you are releasing your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Inhale again. Hold your belly large and then inhale again, expanding into the ribs. So you can actually feel your chest expand here, and exhale through your nose. Again, we're going to do belly and ribs. Inhale to your belly, inhale into your ribs, exhale out of your nose. Inhale into your belly, into your ribs, exhale out of your nose. Inhale into your belly, into your ribs. Extend that breath up here under your collarbone, and exhale 3. We're going to do about 3 more of those 3 parts: belly, ribs, and chest, and exhale through your nose. Again, one more. And your rhythm may be different than mine. Maybe you're slower or quicker. As long as you expand in all 3 places. I'd like you to sit for a minute with your hands on your knees. We're going to inhale in through our nose and sigh out of our mouth as loudly and rumbly as you can. So inhaling through your nose, sighing out of your mouth. You want to feel it in your body. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling again. One more time. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling. So I closed my eyes. I don't know if you all did. You're always invited too. But you really don't have to watch me if you can hear me and if you're familiar, but I'm here as a guide. So bring your arms out next to you. I want you to inhale. Bring your both arms up overhead, and exhaling, bring your arms down. These are known as sun breaths. So I always imagine that I'm scooping up light around me and exhaling as I like rainbows and bring light, shining light out to those around me. So inhaling, bringing the light in for myself, and exhaling, bringing the light out for everyone else. One more. And exhaling. I'm going to change the justification of my knees. My left one was on the inside now, bringing my left to the outside. We're going to roll our shoulders, so bringing your shoulders up toward your ears and exhaling as they slide down your back. Inhaling as you bring them up and exhaling as they slide down your back. A reminder to make sure that you are anchored at your tailbone, exhaling, and that your crown is up toward the ceiling, up toward the sky. So you imagine that your head is like this lovely balloon that is floating on your spine, and your tailbone is the bottom of that string for that balloon. So making sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Inhaling again. Last inhale in this direction. Then we're going to inhale forward in the other. Exhaling. So bring your elbows up near your ears. Elbows. Bring your shoulders up near your ears and exhaling as you bring your shoulders forward, inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. Couple more at your own pace with your own breath. Coming to slow down, rolling those shoulders back, allowing them to release, making them fall and relax away from your ears. We're going to do some torso rotations. So keeping our hands on our knees and not pushing our body with our hands, but allowing support and guidance of our body. So I'm going to bring my left, I'm not going to try and say what it is for you, but I'm going to bring this side of my body down toward my thigh. And as I push my body around, inhaling as I come back up. So inhaling here and exhaling as you bring that stretch into the back of your hips, into your groin, especially on this left side for me, into your lower back. Inhaling as you come up, we'll do about 2 more rotations in this direction. And then when we come up, going down in the other direction. So I'm going to bring this side of my body down toward this thigh. Exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling. Couple more, and exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling. Coming back up, inhaling, rotating your shoulders back. Just a couple more, just to open up these chests. I can see a woodpecker out of my window. Open up these chests to make sure that we are bringing movement to our hips, that we are taking care of our backs. So we're going to do some seated cat cows. So placing your hands on your knees, you can inhale as you open your chest and lift your chin, and then exhale as you bring your curving your pelvis forward, bringing your chin to your chest. Inhale as you rotate your hips back, and exhaling as you bring your belly and your chin, curving your back to a C. A couple more times. Breath to movement on your own. One more. Coming up to center, we're going to do a couple twists. I want you to be gentle with yourself. If you're doing this early in the morning, or actually any time of the day, but early in the morning especially, you might hear your belly making noise. I've heard mine. I've not eaten breakfast yet. Bring your hands out next to yourself. Inhale, bringing both arms up. We're going to bring our right hand down next to our hip, our right hip or your left, a mirror imaging, and bringing that opposite hand outside of that knee. Inhale, sitting up tall. Exhale, looking out over that shoulder. You're not cranking your body, you're just turning your body and supporting it with both hands. Inhaling both arms overhead, bringing that other hand down next to the opposite hip and bringing that hand to the opposite knee. For me, it's my left. Inhaling and looking out over my left shoulder. All the things that we do for everyone else are available to us. So even as we do this move, if you've ever had a little person in your care, whether it's a child of your own or another child, inhale both arms overhead. Bring your right arm or left arm out next to you and extend that opposite arm overhead. Who has ever had gas? I'll go back to those twists. If you've ever been in caring for a child who's ever had gas, you know that if you help them twist their little bodies, they will burp or pass gas. It's just intestine. It's helping the intestines do their movement. So as we do these moves, we are providing this for ourselves, which we deserve. We deserve. I know the saying is often that we cannot pour out of an empty cup, and that is completely true. But I don't always want our motivation to be pouring. I want our motivation to be a nice full cup. I would like our motivation to be filling yourself to overflow so that you don't even need to pour. So that what's given around you is just gushing out, that it is so good to you that it is just waterfalls of goodness around you so that it is covering those around you. So again, I am grateful that you joined me today. I want to remind you it's okay to let other people down, and it's completely necessary to hold yourself up. So as we are coming to a close, I want to share these three affirmations with you, and you can repeat them silently or to yourself. I release myself from connections that lack reciprocity. I release myself from connections that lack reciprocity. I release myself from connections that lack reciprocity. I hold myself in love and power. I hold myself in love and power. I hold myself in love and power. I protect my gifts so they can bless and inspire first myself and then others. I protect my gifts so they can bless and inspire first myself and then others. I protect my gifts so they can bless and inspire first myself and then others. I extend the same care to myself that I use for those I protect. I extend the same care to myself that I use for those I protect. I extend the same care to myself that I use for those I protect. And again, this is Reverend Okomfo Yogi Malamu, Sister Mama Adi, saying it's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to renegotiate agreements, explicit and implicit. It is your sacred, beautiful, and divine charge to take care of this temple, of this shrine. You have been blessed with the joyous responsibility of doing so. So please be joyful and protect that opportunity. All right? Take care. See you soon. Peace.